How you doing? I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Today I wanted to just talk a little bit about people who are still experiencing tiredness after they stop drinking. I hear this a lot. I've got a bit of personal experience of it. So in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about my own personal experience, a little bit about what different things you can do to try and prevent that from happening. So when I first quit drinking, now I'm talking about going back way beyond this 4.5 year thing, but going back to when I quit for 10 months, and this is, I can't remember exactly when it was now, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and I felt tired within the first few weeks of that, and I did experience the same thing this time, when I stopped in January 2013. I think it was 2013. I'm losing track of all these dates and stuff. But really, I was buzzing about the whole thing in the first couple of days. I just wanted to get rid of this stuff out of my life. I was tired of it being there. I was tired of being tired all the time. And in those first few days, I didn't sleep well, Now, when I stopped originally, like I said, 8 years ago, before that, I was working a manual labour job, and I still had that thing of not sleeping, so I had to go to work. I was under contract with my business to do certain jobs, and they just had to be done by a certain date, so there was no way of getting out of them. And I felt it was more, at the time I felt it was dangerous, because I was going into the job with only, sometimes only an hour's sleep, sometimes a bit more than that, but I felt tired. At the end of the day, it was way less dangerous than me going into to work after I'd had a skinful of booze the night before, and there's no doubt about that. Now, this time I quit, when I stopped, I still had the same sleeplessness, and I don't know whether that was anything to do with my previous sleeplessness before. My expectations had built it up so that I wasn't sleeping, and I knew I wasn't going to sleep, so that was affecting how I was going about my business. Now, like I say, this is something that you can, the expectations can build up on yourself. You can bring yourself into either tiredness, or you can bring yourself into sleeplessness, and one compounds the other. But you have to look at things from the perspective of a before and after, right? So once you've made that decision to stop, what is your life going to be like after that? What are you willing to put up with in the first month or 2 months or 6 months, if that's what it takes, in comparison to what you have been putting up with all along? What the accumulated effects of all the alcohol have been on your body over the last how many years you've been drinking. And like I say, this is accumulated, so it's building up over and over and over again. Every time you take a drink, your body is getting more used to the habit. Your body is becoming more intoxicated, and I'm not talking about intoxicated as in drunk, but intoxicated, toxified. I mean, your body has got its own defense systems, whether that's getting rid of the alcohol out of your system, or it's putting the toxins into a certain area of your body, like into your fat cells, so that it's not doing you any harm. It's sort of trapped inside your fat cells. A lot of people find this after they stop. A lot of people find this when they're dieting as well. When they start losing the weight and you start burning off those fat cells. I mean, your fat cells are basically just stored energy, but they have to be burnt off. So once you start burning these things off, the toxins are released into your system. So then you start to feel, you hear a lot of people saying that they feel ill or they feel sick. Maybe that's part of the problem, is that, when you do quit, because your body no longer has to deal with this influx of alcohol anymore, that your body now has got the opportunity to start dealing with the underlying toxins that it's been storing all along, right? So that's one of the things. Now, for me, the sleeplessness, as I said, I've talked about this a few times, it lasted maybe 30 days. And it was sort of a gradual tempering off, so it wasn't just, like I did 30 days of no sleep and then, the 30th day I was able to sleep. It was just a gradual process of sleep a bit more, get a bit more of a more restful sleep. But it was always, once I got to that 30-day mark, roughly speaking, I still had days after the 30 days where, I didn't have a great sleep, and I still have days now when I don't have a great sleep. But I'm getting to know my body, my mind and my sleep patterns a lot better now. So I understand what's caused it, and I understand when I'm doing it. Normally it's something to do with refined sugar now, or if I eat a lot of refined sugar during the day, or if I eat any refined sugar, because I hardly eat that stuff anymore. So if I eat a chocolate bar, or if I drink anything with caffeine in it during the day now, it tends to affect me at night time, and that's just because my system has it's not used to that stuff anymore. So once I put it into my body, and I know when I'm doing it, that I'm going to suffer for that at night time, If I eat too late in the evening, I go to bed maybe 9:30 or 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, every night. And if I stay awake later than that, I tend to get overtired. If I eat sort of after 5:30ish, especially if it's a heavy meal, then that tends to sit in my stomach, and the digestion processes are going on still when I'm going to sleep, and it keeps me awake. Once I go to sleep, I tend to be okay, depending on what I've eaten. If I eat too big of a meal, I'll wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, just awake, and I know this is going to happen. So, but at least I'm getting to know those times and those what's happening in my life. So, this. You're talking about going from a very unbalanced lifestyle where you're taking in a lot of toxins from the alcohol, and probably from a lot of other things. If you're anything like I was, when I stopped drinking alcohol, when I was drinking alcohol, I used to, once the inhibitions go, and once you sort of don't give a shit about, you go to the 3rd pint or the 4th pint, 5th, the 6th pint, the 10th pint, whatever it is, then you start to think, well, I'm hungry, I don't care about what I'm putting into my body anymore. Or you're not in an environment where you're going to get good food. If you're in a pub, at the end of the day, the stuff that's made in the pub is made with the idea of keeping you in the pub. If you're a drinker, it's not going to be the healthiest food. Most of the time, any of the stuff that we were eating was just full of butter, it was full of sugar, it was full of salt. You're talking about snacks behind the bar, which is all that kind of stuff, salty, fat, sugary snacks, and they don't do you any good, plus you've got all the sugar in the alcohol as well. Now, ethanol itself is 7 grams of 7 calories per gram. You've got carbohydrates, which includes sugars, and proteins, which are 4 calories per gram. Then you've got fat, which is 9 calories per gram. So, there's a lot of calories in the actual ethanol itself. A lot of people say, well, it's a sugar, but most of the sugar is turned to ethanol. It's turned to alcohol. So, and the ethanol has got more calories per gram than the actual sugar that it replaced. Right? There might be less of the sugar there, but so you've got to think that, a lot of people say that, you have to replace the sugar afterwards and stuff like that. Maybe you do. Maybe, that's one of the things that causes tiredness afterwards is, you're all of a sudden, you've got this sugar low when you used to have a sugar high. A lot of people who are heavy drinkers become diabetics, not only because of the sugar in the drinks that they're drinking, plus the sugar that they're drinking with the soft drinks, but they also, as I say, tend to have a diet which is high in crap foods as well. So, if you're going to replace the sugars with something else, try and replace them with healthy sugars. I'm a mad bastard for the bananas now, because they've just got slow release sugar, they've got carbohydrates, plenty of good carbohydrates that feed your sugar need. They give you the natural, whole food, natural, pure carbohydrate that, you know, your body can easily digest it slowly, so it's giving you this sugar hit over a length of time. Now, I tend to have a lot of banana smoothies, and if I eat these banana smoothies too quickly, if I drink them too quickly, you know, if I have maybe 7 or 8 bananas in a smoothie and I gosh them down because I'm starving, then I tend to get a sugar rush and I'll sort of go really tired, you know. But, you know, I tend to mix that around now and have half of them as bananas and half of them as a smoothie. But like I say, it's something that you get to know as you get to know your body, you know, as you get to know yourself after you've peeled back the layers from the that the alcohol is hiding. You start to understand yourself a bit better and you start to understand the problems a bit more. You know, and you've also got the problem that before you stopped drinking alcohol, while you were drinking, you weren't really getting good sleep. So, you know, you've got this alcohol that's rushing around your body. Your body is doing its best to try and protect you, and it's working overtime while you're trying to sleep, you know, and that doesn't say anything about what the alcohol is doing inside your brain, you know. And you know, alcohol is one of the few things that passes by the blood-brain barrier. So if you've got, your brain is soaked in alcohol, even when you're sleeping, during your sleep, you're supposed to be recuperating. Your brain is supposed to be shutting down and allowing all the different repair jobs that your body is supposed to be doing as you sleep, you know, recuperating your mind, so that when you wake up in the morning, you feel like you are well slept, you know. You feel like you're relaxed and you're ready for the next day, you know. You're ready for the trials of whatever you've got to do that day. You can do it because you've had a good sleep. And, you know, alcohol is bound to have a big effect on that balance inside your body. So you've got to understand that from that perspective, that once you do stop drinking as well, that your body will start to try and find a balance again. But it's, you know, because alcohol drinking is a habit, it takes a while for your body to understand this, you know, and to get around to the fact, well, geez, there's no more alcohol coming in here, you know. So now I can, you know, and as I say, it's starting to work on the other reparation processes, the other processes where it's getting rid of a lot more of the alcohol from your body than it was doing before. So a lot of that stored alcohol is going, and you'll find yourself in a much better position to sleep and to feel less tired when you get up. But, you know, like I say, it's a balance that you've got to find. You know, it's not going to just happen. It's not a magic bullet. You know, this is not going to, you know, you quit drinking one day and everything's going to be great and rosy the next day. It just doesn't work like that, you know. This is a habit that you've built up over many years. You know, the alcohol toxins have been accumulating in your body over many, many years, you know. So it's going to take at least a few months before your body is getting in any way, shape or form like it's normal, you know. I mean, stopping the alcohol in the first place, right, is a massive, massive thing, right? It's something which will just give you huge benefits because you're stopping the flow of the toxins, right? But the damage, and I'm not talking about huge damage, you know, like this, everyone focuses the mind on something like the liver, right? And says, well, you know, like, have I caused myself liver damage, right? And, you know, that's a genuine concern that a lot of people have, fair enough. But, you know, alcohol gets everywhere. You know, alcohol affects all your bodily organs, including your skin, your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your stomach, your lungs. Everything is affected by this. You also have an effect where your, I mean, this alcohol is getting into your bloodstream. You know, and we know that alcohol is used to keep things fresh. You know, you can put stuff in alcohol and it won't go off. You know, so imagine what the alcohol is doing inside your bloodstream, right? So you've also got your muscles. I mean, your muscles are fed. Everything is fed through your bloodstream. You know, I mean, oxygen is delivered around your body through your bloodstream. You know, and all the nutrients that you give to yourself, the glucose that your brain needs to function, is delivered through your bloodstream. And when this is mixed with alcohol, you know, I mean, I don't know the effects of this, but it doesn't take a genius to work out that it's got to be fucking bad, you know. That it's not a good thing to have floating around your system on a consistent basis. So when I'm talking about making that shift across that thing of quitting drinking alcohol is very, very simple, right? You stop doing it, right? That's it, period. But it's not going to be a magic bullet. It's not going to, you're not going to magically get up the next day and feel like you're 20 years younger again, right? It doesn't work that way, right? You've done this abuse to your body over all these years, right? And it's going to take a while before you get around to it, I'm still trying to get rid of this fucking gut, right, that I built up when I was on the alcohol and all the crap that I was doing. And it's taken me a long time to to realize exactly what I've been doing, I started out years ago when I first stopped trying to do some yoga, and used to do it for maybe a couple of months, and then I'd stop. But at the same time, I was trying to run, I was going to the gym, and I was trying to work out and do weights and all this kind of stuff. And, my body just wasn't capable of doing that. I wasn't capable of going into the gym and pushing up weights and stuff. I was strong, so I was able to do the weights, right? I was able to push the weights. So it was giving me a false sense of security, because at the end of the day, my muscles weren't, I didn't have that flexibility to do it. I didn't have the flexibility to run because, after all those years of doing nothing, I worked in the forestry, right? Fair enough. I did all this kind of work, so I wasn't as bad as some people would be. But, you've got a certain amount of misuse and not using stuff, and this all builds up, so you've got to start out slowly. I've been doing yoga now for the past 3 months, and I'm basically doing the same simple routine over and over and over again, and it's really the most basic stretches. It's like I don't know if you've done yoga or not, but cat and cow, it's like this. I can't even explain it if you haven't done it. It's just really basic stretches where you stretch your legs out and you're bending over, and I'm stretching out my calf muscles, all the muscles in my body, and trying to get them limber. And in order to move on, and I've discovered this, that in order to move on to more complicated stuff, you've got to look at the basics first. Do you understand what I mean? Look at the simplest things that you can do to improve yourself. And this goes the same thing with sleeping or tiredness or whatever it is. You've got to look at what you're doing to yourself. If you're chugging down bars of chocolate when you stop drinking alcohol, or you're changing the alcohol for something like a soft drink, Coca-Cola, say, or Fanta, or one of those things, then you're doing yourself an injustice, because you're swapping one poison for another, right? And sugar, processed sugar, is just as much, not probably. It's as much of a poison as alcohol. Let's put it like that, right? It's not it's not going to put you down the same hole as alcohol is, but it's certainly something which is doing you damage, right? And it's going to affect everything that you do. What you put inside your mouth, whether it's alcohol or sugar or fat or whatever it is that you put inside your mouth, affects what comes out. Right, so you are what you eat is a really good cliche, but it's a good cliche to live by, because it's so fucking true, right? So you've really got to start thinking outside the box. You've got to start thinking from a holistic point of view. If you want to return to previous levels of energy and vitality and health, you've got to think about many different areas of your life. So not putting shit inside your body, for one thing, right? Getting enough exercise is another thing. Focusing your mind on trying to build yourself a good nutritional plan, so the food that you are putting inside your body is helping you. You're getting a good balance of carbohydrates, proteins and fats and stuff like that. And read into this kind of stuff, because this is the most elemental stuff that you can ever do for yourself, for your own body. It's stuff that will affect you day after day after day. It will affect you in the short term, and it's going to affect you in the long term. If you put the wrong types of food in your body, not only are you going to feel the effect straight away, but you're going to feel those accumulated effects in the long term. You're going to feel the accumulated effects not only of the food that you're putting in, but of the food that you're not putting in, right? Of the nutrients and the minerals and the vitamins that you're missing out on, that are essential, that you need. And because you get up in the morning and you can function without these things, it doesn't mean to say that you're functioning at your best and that you're not going to come a cropper in the long term with these things. So always look at that. Sleep is something which we take for granted. Having vitality is something that a lot of people take for granted until it's gone. And it's only then when people start to look at things. But that's often, trying to close the door after the horse is bolted, right? You've got to start looking at these things now. And I'm not saying that just because you're not sleeping now, just because you're feeling tired now, that it's never going to get better, right? You've got to educate yourself first and foremost about what you need, about what the human body needs, about, in all these different areas. And, when you're out of balance, there's a lot of other things that are not going to be balanced either. One thing that's out of balance here is going to knock something else out of balance over here that you didn't even think about. So, it's not complicated. It's not rocket science, right? It's putting good food into your body and leaving out the crap, right? Trying to get good rest, right? Feeding your brain as much as you can, because, if you feed your brain the wrong sort of stuff, then, it can have a knock-on effect later down the road, down the day. I mean, I know people who are mad for reading the news, listen to the news and stuff like that, and they listen to this diatribe of bullshit over and over and over again, and then they can't sleep at night because they're afraid of what's going on in the world and stuff like that. And I'm not talking about hiding your head in the sand or anything like that. You've got to have an opinion about these things and understand what's going on in the world, but choose where you're getting your information from very wisely, because the most of the news networks and the newspapers and most internet sites that are delivering you this kind of news are there for one purpose only, and that's to get you to come back. And they want to deliver you like everything is breaking news these days and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm going off track here. So I'm just saying that most of the time, give it a bit of time after you've stopped drinking. That it's not going to happen overnight. There's no magic bullet that's going to keep this. That's going to make you go from being unbalanced to being balanced in the flick of your fingers like that. It doesn't happen like that. It's going to take time. I mean, like I say, I'm nearly 5 years into this now, and I'm still finding stuff that is a throwback to the days of drinking. A lot of the stuff is up here, a lot of it's mental blocks and mental barriers that I found in my way that I'm discovering now, which just negative thinking that I'm sort of uncovering and thinking to myself, well, that's because of all those days. And I'm not blaming it all on the drinking. It's because of, there's a lot of stuff that is just you accumulate over the years. There's a lot of stuff that you have in your mind when you're born. Not in your mind when you're born, but as you grow up, there's a lot of things that you see around you that sort of give you these limiting beliefs about yourself and about the world around you and your place in the world around you. And it takes a while for you to uncover those. You're never going to uncover them if you're leading this life where you're hiding from everything with alcohol. It's just not going to happen. So I'm just saying, it takes time for one thing after another to happen, and for you to start uncovering. You unpeel your life in a little bit of way. You get rid of the alcohol, you get rid of that behavior, and you allow that to take its course. You allow your body to go under those natural rebalancing efforts that it's going under, to repair the stuff that's damaged, to try and recuperate some of the damage, and to try and get rid of whatever toxins are in there. And then it takes a lot of time on your behalf to try and discover yourself, who you are without alcohol. There's a lot of work to do, but it's all well worth it, because when you get outside of this alcohol drinker's mind and everything that goes with that, then you start discovering that there's a whole world full of opportunity out there just waiting for you. And your opportunities are always going to be different to mine or to anyone else's around you. And it's a great life to have, So look, I'm going to end it there for today, in case I keep rambling on and on and on and on and on. So, as I normally do sometimes. But look, If you have any questions at all, leave a comment down below, and I'll do my best to answer. Now, most of the time I'm going to do this in a video because I just haven't got the time. I mean, I get a lot of emails, people asking for advice and stuff like that, and it's just something that I can't do. I used to be able to do it a couple of years ago, but now I'm finding it, it's not something, when somebody says to me, well, can you tell me how to do this, or you can tell me how to do that, some of the stuff is really simple for me. I can just say, I've said this over and over again, this is what you do, right? And I've no problem about saying that. But some of the stuff that people say to me or ask me for advice on, I've got to do a lot of thinking on. Otherwise, it's just a flippant piece of nonsense, that, you can get from anyone down at the A, and I don't want to do that, So it's impossible for me to give that kind of advice over email and stuff like that. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I do the coaching sessions is, I'm able to give much more in-depth advice and talk to people and get into their problem and their lives and stuff like that, and try and figure out help them to figure out what's going on. And at the end of the day, it sort of does them a misjustice if they're paying me to give them advice, and then I'm also spending a lot of time giving free advice out. So, I'm not saying that I won't give out free advice. I mean, I'm all for trying to help as many people as I can, but I just want to do it in this form with the videos and stuff, because I think that's the most, it's the best use of my time. I'm able to answer a question, and more people than just one person are able to benefit from it. I mean, you have a better chance if you want advice if you put a comment on the website, then I know that more people are going to, read the comments and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, this is the best way that I can give advice to anyone, is through a video. So, if you have any questions at all, like I say, leave a comment down below. And if you go over to the website and you've got a specific topic that you want answers to, there's over 700 videos there now. So there's a search box on the top of in the sidebar. And if you put just whatever keywords, so if you want sleep, just put sleep into that. If you want information about cravings, put cravings into that. And any video that's got cravings in the title, or it's got cravings in the transcripts, it will, it'll come up as a list. So you'll have a load of different things that you can go through, With the transcripts, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue to do the transcripts on the website. I think it's just something that's taken a lot of time to do, and I'm just trying to cut down my time now doing some of the things that I have been doing over the past. It's all fair and good getting somebody to do the transcripts for me, but having to post them up on the website is a different story, and it takes more time. So I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with that. There won't be a transcript up for this video anyway, that's for sure. And maybe we'll see what happens anyway. So if you want to sign up for the Alcohol Mastery Starter Pack, and just go over to the website and leave your name and email address, and there's a few different courses in there trying to help you to quit drinking and keep up with the new life afterwards, to try and give you encouragement and motivation and all that kind of stuff. So listen, I'll end it there. I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Take care of yourself. Keep the alcohol out of your mouth. Onwards and upwards. Take care. Bye now.